This video is showcasing Team Liquid's rotations in a PGI match. As most people should know, Liquid drop at Yasnaya, but they don't all just land in the city. They'll land along the roads next to Yasnaya to secure vehicles for the team. Scoom will land southeast and get a vehicle along the road. Ibiza will land southwest, and Samty will usually land west as well, around the petrol station to get a vehicle that way. Yasnaya is a big city, but there's not that many vehicle spawns in it. This not only secures vehicles for Liquid, but it also denies vehicles from other teams, and vehicles are so important in this, it does make a difference. Liquid came second in TPP mode and FPP at PGI, so it just shows the consistency of them as a team. This match is TPP, but I don't think Liquid's rotations differ much than what they'll do if it was an FPP mode. I think they'd stay the same, or they'd be very similar. So you can see Kramer is headed to the same vehicle Scoom is. Scoom's closer though and is going to get it. So Kramer has to back away. Like I said, this is why they drop so far from Yaz to deny vehicles. Scoom could find vehicles closer to Yaz 9, possibly, but they know where Knights loot and their landing patterns. So now Kramer's landed. He has no vehicles near him and no loot near him. He has to run hundreds of meters to get to Mansion to start his looting. This looting phase for Kramer specifically has started so inefficiently for them, and it wastes a lot of time. So if you want to know how Yasnaya loots Liquid, because that makes sense. Ibiza loots the front 4 sugar cubes, Samty loots the back 2 sugar cubes and the barn, James does the diner and the buildings around there, and Scoom does the police department and the mansion area. 1 minute and 50 seconds until the blue zone starts moving in, and Liquid are starting their rotation deeper into the circle. If we look at other teams, we see OHM by the airdrop in a nice central position. They loot that area, so they were already close by. CGW have 2 members just east of the airdrop, where the Wizard Tower is along that trail, and the other 2 CGW members are leaving Milta. We also see Savage alongside those CGW members leaving Milta Power. They're headed to that same trail alongside CGW. Ghost are also leaving Pachinki, and Refund have quite an early rotation, leaving 70, considering they're not in the circle. Knight's also leaving their looting grounds and heading in. So Liquid are rotating at about the same time the other teams in the circle are, which there is quite a lot of teams in the circle because of such a central circle. With 20 teams, or 19 now, because 4am just got eliminated early in the circle, places are going to get filled up a lot quicker than a 16 team game would be. So we saw James pull up on that hill to scope out the area to relay information to his team, and he's back on the bike now and joining his team in the rotation. They're headed to where Savage and CGW are on that trail, but they're going to find out it's already taken right about now. So obviously they're not going to contest that. They don't want to end up like 4am and get eliminated this early. So they turn around. They know Knights are on their east, heading west, deep into the circle. Also Funky M is leaving this funnel. He doesn't want to stay when 4 vehicles are rocking up. So Liquid know there's a lot of activity in this area and they need to secure some place to hold. Samty scopes out that building and James is straight on it. Places are they're gonna fill up quickly when there's this many teams in the area. So the rest of the Liquid team rock up at that compound, but James is heading deep into the circle on the bike to drive-by scout this yellow building. He obviously has to evade the shots by TG, so they're just going to settle for that compound that they've already got. Wasn't their first choice, but it's not a bad compound. It's fairly central, and they already have a lot of information on where teams are. A couple of seconds until the next shrink, and Liquid are already in their vehicles. So the circle stays pretty central. It does swing a little to the east. Liquid are still in the circle, but they're not interested in staying in this compound. We can see it's so clear in the east, and due to Liquid's high level of game sense, they know this as well, or they can assume it should be relatively clear. They did see Knights leaving the east and heading deeper into the circle. I mean, they don't know it's Knights, but they should be able to safely assume that it would be Knights considering where they were rotating from. So now the only other teams that loot in the east are CGW and Savage. They have to worry about. They loot Milta and Milta Power respectively. Now we know they're on the trail. I'm not sure if they know that. They may have seen the names light up in the kill feed. I haven't looked into this match that closely, or they may just be familiar with their rotation patterns. This is just speculation by me, but I think they have a very good idea that the east side should be relatively clear, so that's why they do this rotation. They're not scared to leave their compound that's already in the circle for a better position in the circle like they do here. You may not be able to apply that knowledge of other teams' rotations into your own competitive games if you play in a lower level league where you're versing a lot of different teams each week. But it is something to keep in the back of your mind, having the confidence to leave an area that's in the circle for a better one. 5 seconds until the next shrink, and Liquid are next to their vehicles again, ready to rotate if they have to. The circle hard shifts to the west. Liquid aren't in it, so of course they have to move. And we see James again leading the rotation in the two-seater bike. So they're headed north on a wide rotation, planning to come into the circle on the west. We see James here on the map headed straight into refund. There's no way you're avoiding that. I think it's a misplay from Liquid. Ibiza did see a car headed in that direction to Funnel Hill, so I think they were just worried about Love Shack, or Alamo as I think the North Americans and Europeans call it, that blue compound on Ibiza's left, since they did see refunds take that compound before. I think the safest rotation there is just going straight north from Shelter to avoid Love Shack and avoid Funnel. Ibiza enters the blue here. We can see his proactiveness. He's already fully boosted. He put those boosts on just before the previous shrink to be rotation ready. If he enters the blue or he gets shot by another player, that passive healing will continue to heal him and he doesn't even have to exit his vehicle. We see Scoom and Samty though, they're not already fully boosted, they have to heal up. Ibiza had the meds for, there's 5 energies and 2 pains still left over, so they're using their meds to their full advantage. So you may think this rotation by Liquid is overly safe going this deep into the blue. You can see Samty at the back deciding to cut in before school for a quicker rotation, but he gets shot at by Gen.G Black and has to turn and go around school, even though Gen.G Black are still in a fight with Made in Thailand. Ibiza stops on this Defi, even though it's still in the blue, to safely scope out the area, since they have no information on this west side of the circle. He scopes out the barns, he sees vehicles there, but we know there's no one there. He also scopes out that hill and sees nobody. There's actually a CGX member leaving that and going a little deeper into the circle, just a couple 100 meters. So the reason Liquid came in on the west side with such a big rotation is because when you have a previous shrink that's central and then the next one is a hard shift, in this case to the west, all these teams playing on the east, in this specific scenario there wasn't many. There was like Savage, a couple members of Savage on the east, Gen.G Gold at farm on the edge. That doesn't really matter, but generally when you have more teams on the east, all these teams are obviously going to have to come in somewhere on the white, and normally they're just going to do that short rotate on the eastern edge of the circle and play the edge, which means it's going to be very hot, that area, and there's going to be so much activity in it, and you may not be able to get a spot, or you may have to fight for a spot in there. Coming in on the west from a western hard shift means those teams on the west don't have to move, so there's not going to be many people coming in there, and they may even move more central because they have information on that area, like we saw CGX move away from where Ibiza's actually standing right now. So the next circle shrinks and it hard shifts to the east, so Liquid have to do another long rotation just to get into the circle. They all managed to get into the previous circle though by the time the next shrink happens, which is good. It means they can now rotate as a team again. Ibiza's leading in the rotation again. He does have the most health coming out of the circle the earliest. So Ibiza scoped out these barns before, he knows it should be clear. And they're just avoiding the CGX and Knight's rotation at the moment. They can see and hear those vehicles. So here I'd like to see Ibiza pull up behind the shack on the peninsula and scope out the area, because it gives so much visual information there, and they're already coming into this circle late. They're not going to beat anyone to a spot. That I don't think it's bad to take that extra time just to get more information on the circle. But they group up and head into the circle together. Samty doesn't take any damage there, but gets sandwiched here before the Japanese and Chinese, between the Japanese and Chinese teams. He gets taken down, but Scoom and Ibiza luckily get away. So they safely arrive at this Defi here. They didn't know there was no one playing here, they just had to hope when they arrived here that there's no one here. Obviously it's not a priority location to play, which is why they rotated here. Teams generally aren't going to come here, they're going to look for more hard cover like compounds to play. So it was a smart rotation here, and with a circle like this, I think it's a very good place to play. They know Knights are around the beach, I believe, which is why they're smoking off their anchors, which is why they also didn't rotate through the beach, which is a much safer rotation. If you hug the water, then OMG from that compound can't get visuals on them. So with the TPP, they see Drayden here, take him out. Obviously they can abuse the TPP perspective and just prone behind these vehicles and get information, but I think if it was FPP, they'd just be standing up and being more active. A few seconds until the next shrink here, and Genji Black get eliminated, so there's still 17 teams left. It's a central circle, and I think most teams in this situation would just prone into the southern edge of the circle, but if you watch Liquid, you know they like their central rotates into the later circles when they're rank tanking. So they absolutely run the gauntlet here. Ibiza somehow arrives safely after getting headshot at the start. Skim splits from him, pulls up at this Stonehenge area. They like to split as well. They don't want to put all their eggs into the same basket, you could say. With these rank tanks, they split commonly. Although I wouldn't mind Scoom staying with Ibiza here at that tower. I think it's a safer place, and it looks pretty sketchy here. I mean, I don't know how DJ Chip and the Wizard doesn't have an angle on Scoom. That may be just a bad perspective, or it was a sketchy move by Scoom, I'm not sure there. But they both stay alive, which is the most important thing. Both Liquid members are in the next circle, but all those compounds at the Stonehenge area are out of it, so they all have to come out. Which is why playing cities and large compounds isn't the most ideal place to play. I mean, if it's a last resort, fair enough, but getting out of there can be a real pain. So Scoom leaves, he doesn't want to have to deal with all those teams coming out. Somehow doesn't take any damage with that Darcy acceleration speed, but gets out. The car was very weak though, so they blow it up. And now they just go prone abusing this TPP again. I think they'd still be doing the same rotations though in FPP. Possibly the previous rotation where Scoom split, they may stay together and go prone, or even stay active. They can smoke off areas that they have to when they got these two cars for cover, which Scoom's actually moving now to provide a bit more cover and give them a bit more room together. I don't know about that positioning though, like, you can still aim above it. I don't know why they would create that gap. It's just leaving that side vulnerable, I think, but I mean, with Ibiza shooting there, it doesn't matter, they're clearing out that side even if it is vulnerable. So the Blues forcing teams out of these compounds now. Liquid knows that and is going to try and capitalise on the frag points, but it's actually Na'Vi clearing that squad. So now Na'Vi have put themselves in the firing range, or at least the Blue has put them there. So they're getting shot by a refund member of that hill. So all they do is just smoke off that angle, and they can continue gatekeeping Na'Vi. See, refund Pino, he's not going to deal with that, he can't see anything through that smoke. So Liquid are being cautious about their left side. They did see a rank tanker here by this tree. He's dead now, obviously. Don't know what happened to him, if it was from the Blue or another team, but better to be safe than sorry. Ibiza can do a bit more gatekeeping and third partying here, but they have to get to the circle themselves, and I think that's Liquid's last smoke, so Skim just had to run out of that smoke and get to the tree, which he does safely. Ibiza gets taken down by Eska from Genji Gold there. I think if you were going to be nitpicky, he could have prone to that tree and they might not have had an angle. Not sure on that. But he can't get revived here, so he just crawls forward for more information. It's not worth the risk trying to revive him there, even if Liquid do have smokes. And with TPP, Skim can see our lane here. Takes him down and doesn't get greedy with the kill points. That is enough to disadvantage Na'Vi. It's the same situation. Our lane can't get revived there, even if he gets smoked, you know, one nade and Na'Vi go down in 5th place, so definitely not worth the risk, and Drainage just has to stay there. Skim loses the kill points, but it's okay. It still helps out Liquid, because if Skim comes up against Na'Vi, he's only up against one person instead of 2 now. And we can see Genji Gold, they control the match from here. They're 4 up, and they just spread around the circle. Eska stays at this shack on the right here, and I think Skim knows that. And he just doesn't think Eska has an angle if he stands up. You're about to see here, the second member of Refund gets knocked here, so it's only Pino up for Refund. Skim knows this and tries to take him down, but Eska has an angle, in fact, and takes down Liquid. And then Genji Gold obviously wins. So what happened there was Liquid got taken out before that last refund member died, which makes Liquid come in 4th, Refund come 3rd immediately after, and then Na'Vi in 2nd and Genji Gold 1st. So if Scoom just stayed prone there, he could have got an easy 2nd place, but I can see why he chose to crouch and try and take down that Refund member. If he killed that Refund member, he would have got first off 15 points for a kill and then a confirmed placement. And I just believe, because when he first got to that tree, he was crouched and Genji Gold from that shack didn't shoot at him. They must have not have seen him, or must have been in a slightly different position where they couldn't see him. So he thought he was safe crouching there. So he just went for the more points, basically. So unfortunate by Liquid, but it happens. And I chose this match because it just goes to show that even with bad circle luck, you can still overcome that with good rotations and positioning. Even though it was TPP, I think it still showcases a good match by Liquid. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching the full video. I spent a bit of time on this, and I plan on releasing quite a few analysis videos, maybe not on this format. It'll probably be more specific scenarios that I might grab from a few matches and put together on just one specific thing instead of a full match by a team. Anyway, peace out guys, have fun.